When I was young, I'd look up at the sky and watch planes fly, imagining and dreaming of life's possibilities. Anything seemed possible as a kid. Anything was possible as a kid. When you were young, what was your childhood dream? My world changed when I saw it. Not flying, but floating. It's a bird, it's a plane, it's super cool. It was cooler than Superman. It was a helicopter. Shortly after I turned 18, I was on a one-way flight across the country chasing my dream of flying helicopters. I had the biggest smile as the instructor and I lifted off the ground for the first time. My body felt light. And before I knew it, we were hovering. It was like sitting on a cloud, if that cloud were a helicopter. My dream was coming true, and I was on cloud 9. My days consisted of learning, flying, and biking 4 kilometers to the grocery store because I was a broke student. I was living my dream and loving every minute of it. 4 months later, I was a licensed commercial helicopter pilot, ready to take on the world. My dream soon turned into a nightmare. The following year was the most turbulent of my life. It had been 8 months since I received my pilot's license, and I couldn't find a job. I was running out of resources, money, and time. I was struggling to survive and had no idea what to do next. I was 19 years old, living 3,300 kilometers away from family and friends. I felt like I had crashed and burned. I felt like a failure. I felt like everything I was doing was pointless. I thought back to my decision to chase my dream. Would I have been better off not to try at all? To stay in the same place doing nothing? To stay in the hover? Have you ever felt like you're living on autopilot? Life passes, and you remain in the same place for weeks, months, and years. Hovering is when a helicopter maintains a stable position without moving. The same applies to you in your life. And the hover is where all dreams die. For 14 years, I worked as a commercial helicopter pilot and an aircraft maintenance engineer. I know, but somebody has to do it. I've spent over 35,000 hours around helicopters, maintaining, fixing, and flying them. A helicopter is made up of about 1 million parts. Nearly 10,000 of those are rotating and moving. I began to see how relatable helicopters are to you. I became especially interested in the hover and how it relates to staying still in your life. Every helicopter has a flight manual containing technical information and safety protocols. Within it is a height velocity diagram, also known as the dead man's curve. Who names these? It helps pilots understand the safe operating areas of a helicopter in terms of altitude, height, and airspeed velocity. Flying in the dead man's curve is the most dangerous place. At low altitudes and low airspeeds, a sudden loss of power or engine failure can make it impossible to recover from, leading to crashes and fatalities. Hence the name, the dead man's curve. This is not rocket science. It's helicopter science. Let's go back to when I was 19, broke, and running out of options. I flew back across the country and moved into my parents' basement. That's what I call the extreme dead man's curve. I returned to working at my old high school job, earning minimum wage. I was searching for jobs nonstop, but couldn't find anything. So I searched tirelessly to find another way into the industry. Then I found it: aircraft maintenance. The only catch was I'd have to take on more debt and pass 3 tests to get in. I passed the first test. I passed the second test. And I failed the third test. I retook the test, and I passed. I graduated from the program with distinction, with an average of 91%. It took me 3 years and over $70,000 in debt before I landed my first job in aviation. It would take another 8 years before I would start to gain momentum. I was working my so-called dream job. I paid off every single cent of my debt. I felt an instant relief. I met the girl of my dreams, Vanessa. Hopefully she's here watching this. We traveled and made lifelong memories. We flew in a hot air balloon in Phoenix, took mud baths in St. Lucia, and dove with sharks in Mexico. I even got paid to go heli skiing at my job. So technically, I'm a pro snowboarder. Life beyond the dead man's curve never felt so good. In 2022, I found myself yet again in the hover. I was working my so-called dream job as an aircraft maintenance engineer. I felt like I had climbed to the top and had hit the ceiling. I was at the highest level of my profession, yet I was unfulfilled and unsatisfied. I decided to quit my job and chase my next dream. I started building a business to impact someone else's life, to help people in an area that often consumes their lives, their career. So what if you find yourself in the hover? What can you do? I thought you'd never ask. Well, a helicopter pilot safely exits the dead man's curve by pushing forward on the cyclic control stick. This allows them to gain airspeed. This creates forward movement, which builds momentum until they're flying. I've used this same technique over the course of my life, and it works. The key is movement and momentum. Movement and momentum. It could be a job, a relationship, or your finances. You must first create movement. It doesn't even have to be in the right direction, but you must move somewhere. Once you start moving, you'll begin to gain momentum over time. This is when things will become easier. More opportunities, connections, and resources will come your way. You don't need the perfect plan, day, or destination. But you do need to start moving somewhere, and you need to start today. Aviation pioneer Amelia Earhart said, "The most effective way to do it is to do it." She started flying in the 1920s, setting speed and altitude records. She was the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. And because that wasn't enough for Amelia, in 1937, she attempted to fly around the world. Amelia lived life beyond the dead man's curve every single day. It's been over 23 years since I first looked at the sky and watched planes fly. Something I still do to this day. A constant reminder to keep moving forward, to keep flying. My life has changed course many times, and I have no idea what the future will hold. But if I can move beyond the dead man's curve and live my dream, so can you. If I didn't get on that flight in 2009, my life would be different. I definitely wouldn't be giving you this talk. But here I am, still watching, dreaming, and flying. So the next time you find yourself in the dead man's curve, remember Amelia's words. The most effective way to do it is to do it.